Hey guys, guess who's back again. Hey, guess who's back? Guess who's back, guys? So it's an awesome day, y'all. I'm just gonna answer some frequently asked questions that I typically often get here, and then we'll start taking questions. So as usual, if you want me to answer questions, the best place to come is definitely always on Instagram. So if you have questions or you're gonna want to ask me some questions, I always say the best place for you to join us is going to be on Instagram. Okay. So hey, guess who's back? Back again. Hey, guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back, guys? I started talking. I realized, oh, I haven't even gone live on my IG. Oh my God. So, guys, today's an awesome topic. We're still discussing frequently asked questions. So go ahead and invite your frenemies, everybody you know. Go ahead and invite them. Don't be stingy. It's gonna be a great live. So go ahead and invite your friends, especially if you know someone who has a burning question they have for an immigration lawyer. Now will be the time to tell your friend to join in now. And so I'm gonna start answering some frequently asked questions right about now. Okay, so question number one: people always ask me, especially for adjustment of status to marriage cases, do I have to be living with my spouse? Do I have to be living with my spouse? And the answer is eventually, at some point, yes. So, if you and your spouse are not currently living together and you file your adjustment of status application, at some point, especially when they're about to call you for your interview, you definitely want to be living together. So that's frequently asked question number one. Okay, today I'm just discussing frequently asked questions all around. So frequently asked question number one is, so if I'm doing an adjustment of status to marriage case, which means my spouse is the one petitioning for me, do we have to be living together? At some point, definitely yes. Now, I've done cases where we filed the case, and maybe because one person or one partner was in school in a different city or something like that, maybe they weren't living together. But eventually, I always tell them, okay. Eventually, I will tell them, make sure you're just living together. By the time they call us for the interview, or by the time they're about to call us for the interview, you need to be living together. So obviously, you would need to determine how long typically these applications normally take, and then just plan to make sure you're living together at that time. And then I always say, even after the interview, you want to be living together, because sometimes immigration may want to come and do a drop by and see, check things out. So you definitely want to be living together. Frequently asked question number two: my spouse petitioned for me and then died. Okay. So my spouse died before the I-130 or before the process was approved. What can I do? So there's two things you can do in that situation. So if you have a pending application, typically one of the things you could do first of all is you could see if you could find a substitute petitioner. And that's just usually someone who's a U.S. citizen or a green card holder as well, who would not mind, in other words, kind of taking the place of your spouse in this application. So you could find a substitute petitioner. Second thing is, you may actually have the option of filing for VAWA. One of the benefits of VAWA is you could actually file, in other words, file an I-360 form, which is a self-petitioner form on the basis of your spouse having passed away. And especially if your spouse was abusive or you had issues in the marriage and your spouse died, great. You could definitely then, in that case, file a VAWA application or an I-360 form on the basis of your spouse now having deceased, okay? And the third thing is, actually, if you have a good lawyer, your lawyer could just write them and explain the situation and point out the laws and policies. There's some laws and policies that USCIS has recently passed that would say that in that situation, they may actually allow you to continue your application even after your spouse is dead, and even before your application was approved. So there's three different things you could do. Give me a call if you're in this situation. If your spouse has recently deceased and you're not sure what to do, then you definitely want to give me a call. Let's talk about your options. You have usually at least two options that I've discussed now. Okay, guys, now is the time to share because I'm rolling through these frequently asked questions list fast. I'm going through them fast, so now will be the time for you to share. Click the share button. Don't be stingy. Number 3, people always ask me, is it easier? What's easier? Is it easier for me to get a green card through VAWA, or is it easier for me to get a green card through adjustment of status to marriage? What's easier? People always and often ask me that. And honestly, there's no real straight cut answer. I think my personal opinion and my legal opinion is that VAWA is easier provided you qualify. That's my personal and legal opinion, is that VAWA is actually an easier process provided you qualify. And the reason why I've stated this before many times is there's many reasons why. The first reason is for your VAWA interview, our VAWA interviews are really fast, really short. Literally, I just had one today and it took less than 5 minutes, really. Literally, it was a very straight to the point interview. Okay, so most of the VAWA interviews I've ever had are very, very easy, very simple. And that's because by that time, the main application has already been approved. In other words, USCIS has already determined that you qualify for VAWA. So when we go to the interview, usually it's just for the purposes of them determining, do you have good moral character? Like, are there any criminal issues? Is there something you're hiding? That's usually the purpose of a VAWA interview. So VAWA interviews, in my opinion, and in my history, have been very, very easy. Usually we're out of there in less than 10 minutes. We're out. And so in my legal opinion, VAWA is always definitely easier. The other reason why I think VAWA is easier is just it requires less evidence in terms of you proving that you and your spouse live together. So I've always said this, and I'll say this again. Whenever I do a consultation for adjustment of status to marriage, the email I send with the list of documents has like 3 pages of things, of documents that we could possibly need for this application process. And that's for adjustment of status to marriage. For VAWA, it's just a paragraph. I just send you a paragraph of things. And the reason is because the standards on showing that you and your spouse live together are still there for VAWA, okay? So you still have to show that for VAWA, but it's relaxed. And it's relaxed, obviously, because this application is based on the problems in the marriage. This application is going to be based on the issues in the marriage. And so immigration is definitely going to be a little more relaxed on you showing that you and your spouse live together. But now on the flip side, if this were an application where your spouse is petitioning for you, and let's say you've been married like 3 or 5 years, like they want to see documents that are equivalent to a couple that has been together for 5 years, right? If your spouse is the one petitioning for you and you've been married for 5 years, okay, they're going to want to see that maybe you have at least 4 years in living together. They're going to want to make sure your evidence actually lines up with how long you've been married. And I think with VAWA, that requirement is a little bit more relaxed, okay? And also because I've won pretty much almost all my VAWA cases, really. I really have. Like, that's why they call me VAWA Queen. I mean, literally almost every case I touch, if it's a VAWA case, we win it. So in my legal opinion and experience, I think VAWA is definitely easier to win. As much as people would probably think as much as people will probably think otherwise, I really think our cases are definitely easier. Of course, I always get this question: does VAWA apply to men? Absolutely. I've always told you that most of our clients are men. Thank God we have started to get more and more women in here to help more women with VAWA. And of course, it says Violence Against Women Act, but surprisingly, usually women are usually hard on themselves to file for VAWA, and men usually file for VAWA much easier. So anyway, but that said, definitely VAWA applies to men as well, as long as you qualify, as long as you're in a toxic or abusive relationship. And I always have said I've said it best. VAWA applies. VAWA applies to you if all you've experienced is financial abuse. If all you've experienced was financial abuse, right? If all your experience was emotional, psychological abuse, vow applies to you. It applies to you. All right. So, in summary, vow has been honestly our easiest cases. I pretty much win every case I touch. And if it's a vow case, literally, I pretty much win it all. I mean, I've basically, if it's a vow case, my chances of losing that case are very, very low, especially if I've done my due diligence. If I make sure we submit a proper application, um, then my chances of losing a viral case are going to be very, very low. And I know this applies really to any lawyer that has been doing viral for a while and understands how to do viral. We all say the same thing, that like once you understand how to do a viral case and you know what's required and you do your best, I think viral really sets you up for a win. It really, really does, because we have, some relaxed standards on things like showing that you and your spouse live together. All right. Now, I also get the question, do I need a police report for viral? No, you definitely don't need a police report. And I've always said that if you go to a lawyer who claims to do vow, and they ask you to provide a police report, then you need to turn around and walk the other way, because they don't know what they're doing. So again, I want to state again, you absolutely do not need a police report. You do not need a police report um, if you're filing for vow. Okay, you don't need a police report. If you're filing for VAWA. Not, absolutely not. Okay. All you need to show is that you've experienced some sort of extreme abuse at the hands of this person and that it was intentional. Okay. So it could be emotional, it could be psychological, it could be sexual abuse, it could be financial, it could be digital abuse. All right. Okay. Then do I have to have a lot of evidence to file for VAWA? Is the next frequently asked question I always hear. No, absolutely not. You just need, again, to prove two things. First of all, that you entered this marriage for valid reasons. So emails, text messages, maybe Facebook friendships, IG friendships showing, your courtship period. Like, how did you guys end up married in the first place? Right? That's number one, what you would need to show. Secondly, so if you don't have, and that's leading on to my next question. So what if I don't have a lot of documents together with my spouse? So what if we don't have like any joint leases, no joint utility bills, no joint bank accounts? So first of all, this question always depends on how long you've been married. So if you've been married like a very long time, like for 10 years, and you have nothing at all, it is a little bit, you are going to need to find a way to prove what have you guys been doing for 10 years that you don't have anything at all together. Okay. So first of all, it depends on how long you've been married. Now, but secondly, then you definitely want to have, if you don't have any joint leases, no joint utility bills, no bank accounts together, you don't have anything together with your spouse, then definitely you want some very, very detailed affidavits. I can't stand seeing an affidavit that says, "Hey, I'm so and so's wife or husband. I'm Bamidele, or I'm Olamide's husband, or friend, and I've known him for 5 years, and I know him and his wife were married in 2017 or 2016, and I can attest that he really loved her. I can attest that she abused him, and that's the whole affidavit. So your friend has known you for 5 years, has known you and your spouse as long as you are married, and they only write 2 or 3 sentences about the kind of marriage that you actually had. They don't go into any detail about how you met. They don't go into any detail about when things started to go bad. They don't go into any detail about how this bad marriage affected you. So that kind of affidavit is very lacking. And then, if you have a situation where your friend only wrote like a paragraph, has known you and your wife for as long as you've been married, has been your friend for more than 5 years, and they only write like a paragraph, and then you have like multiple of those affidavits, no wonder your application could be denied. So your affidavits need to be really detailed. They really need to really state, how did you guys meet? Why did you guys decide to get married? How did your friend come to know you guys were having issues? Did your friend hear it himself or herself? Did she see herself? Did she? Is there a day you called your friend and they could hear it in your voice that you were heartbroken? Like, how did they know this information? Like, they need to go into a whole lot of detail. So the devil is in the details. You really, really need to make sure your affidavits, especially if you don't have any documents together with your spouse, your affidavits need to be very, very detailed. And so, in other words, they need to be from somebody who really, really knew what was going on between you and your spouse, really, really understood it, really saw it with their own eyes or heard it with their own eyes. I always say, find somebody with personal knowledge of what actually happened. Either they heard it themselves, they saw it, they experienced it. Maybe when they came to visit you, they saw how your spouse was abusive to you. You want your affidavits to be as detailed as possible. And there's so many other frequently asked questions list. I can continue the rest another day. But in summary, you don't need a police report. Let your affidavits be as detailed as possible, especially if you're filing for violence and you have no documents together. And then if your spouse is on petitioning for you and you've been married for 5 years or for 7 or 8 years, just know USCIS is then going to expect to see as much documentation that corresponds with how long you've been married, especially if this is an adjustment of status to marriage case. I'm not talking about vow now, especially if your spouse is on petitioning for you, they're a lot harder on you on those cases. All right. And then to summarize, also frequently asked questions list, people always ask me, is vow easier or adjustment of status to marriage easier? And I gave many reasons why. I definitely believe I've come to understand that vow is definitely much easier, which is why every time you turn on social media, you're seeing one lawyer or another talking about vow. There's a reason why. It really does open up the door to much more people. And also because with adjustment of status to marriage, some people can't really qualify for adjustment of status to marriage, but vow you can. So vow really opens up the door to much, much more people. All right, so I'm gonna stop there and let me start taking questions. Hello? 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 All right. While I'm waiting for that, I did see a question. Someone asked me, so what's your percentage on winning of our cases? I would say my percentage is probably about 99.5%. I've lost, I would say at this point, only 2 VAWA cases, and this is the only the whole truth. I've lost only 2 VAWA cases, and these were just recently. And these were, of course, for the situation where for 2 Nigerians that had fraudulent divorce certificates, and there was just no way around that. They had these bad divorce certificates before they got to me. So when you see me talking about fraudulent divorce certificates over and over, especially as they relate to Nigeria, it's because it's true and because it's a real problem. So on this very note, I still want to say again, if you're from Nigeria and you know you've been legally married in Nigeria before, the best place for you to get a divorce certificate, again, I can't stress this enough, is the United States of America. If you're listening to me and it's too late for you, you've already filed an application, you've already submitted a divorce certificate, it's still not too late for you to go ahead and hire some lawyer a good lawyer in Nigeria to check that divorce certificate. Find out, is that divorce certificate really valid? Because I'm telling you, in my whole vow lifetime, that's the only reason why. That's the only thing really that could keep you from your vow application being approved, is if you have a fraudulent divorce certificate. Of course, there's also the issue of, well, if your spouse claims that you married him for fraudulent reasons, but that one we've been able to come to overcome. But the only thing the only thing that how can I say, the only thing that you could possibly find yourself not being able to overcome is if USCIS finds out that your prior divorce certificate was invalid, and now you've already married somebody else. That's like the only situation that's like very, very difficult to overcome. And so if you're listening to me again and you're Nigerian, or you know a Nigerian person that's yet to file and was legally married in the US, this is your sign to pass this message on to the person that they really need to hire a lawyer quickly, find out where they stand on that prior divorce certificate, because, oh, I'm sorry, I put the wrong number. Because that's the only reason why. I'm telling you, that's the only reason. That's the biggest thing that I think pretty much no lawyer can overcome, is if you marry somebody and you're technically already or still married to somebody else without knowing it. That's why it's an issue, because if you have a fraudulent divorce certificate or an incorrect divorce certificate, then you're technically still married to your spouse in Nigeria. And again, this is unfortunately, sadly, only an issue that I experience with my Nigerian clients, because now we serve Jamaicans, we serve Indians, we serve Kenyans, we serve really pretty much everybody else. But this issue really is only unique to Nigeria. So if you're Nigerian, you've been legally married before, or even if you're traditionally married before, now is definitely the time you need to schedule a consultation with me. Let's talk about it, so there's no surprises ahead. Okay, so there's no surprises ahead. Let me take some questions. And so to answer that question, those are the only two violent cases I've ever lost, is because of fraudulent divorce certificates. Of course, they had nothing to do with me, and they were before my time. And that we didn't realize on time. We didn't know that these divorce certificates were fraudulent when we filed these applications, right? So if you're listening to me, I'm telling you this from my own experience. I'm telling you this from something I know. All right. Let me start taking these questions. All right. Everything else, to be honest, really you can overcome. If your spouse states you married them just for fraudulent reasons, that can be overcome with a good declaration. That can be overcome with good lawyering. But how are you going to overcome the fact that you're married to two people at the same time? How are we going to overcome that without with immigration actually believing us? How are we going to do that? Yeah. So just think about that. Let me take these questions. So remember, I like to take my questions live. So that's what I'm doing now. Let me take these questions live.
Hello.
We can go from there. Hello.
Hi. Very
How
good
you
evening.
doing?
From long time, I'm trying to reach you. Okay, my question is, I still live with my wife, and we got married like in 2016 in India, and my wife she got her asylum approved in 2019. That was the time I'm not able to apply with her for asylum due to some reasons. But now after she got her asylum through and she got her green card in 2021, and then we have some problems with our life, and we have a daughter. So I applied my VAWA case in this year 2022.
Okay,
2023.
okay.
Not 2023 August.
Okay.
So my question is, I just would like to know what's gonna next move. I just submitted all the 6 years lease. Still we are living together.
Okay.
Only we have a good relation, but only thing is that she don't want to file for me because she is my second wife. I have my first wife kids in India.
Okay, but you did
I'm
divorce
in 2013, and I got this lady in 2016.
Okay, got it. Okay, I was
In
about
India.
to ask.
together
Okay,
to
but
United
you
States
did
in
divorce the
2017.
first one first. Okay, all right. So continue.
So we came in United States 2017. So I have a daughter. They are living together, but she's not ready to help me for my immigration process. So I
Okay,
was on student status, but now I applied for my VAWA. So I just would like to know, do I'm going to get some benefits for my process? I already did it.
Are you gonna get what benefits? Like, are you gonna get like, so usually VAWA affords you the ability to get like a work permit and travel permit along the way, and also protection from deportation. So if it was done correctly, you should be able to get those three benefits along the way. Yeah.
And I have submitted in a month of August, like 28th, and along with my application, I did for my 3 kids also. They are minor in India, but they are in India.
Okay, so what's your question? So anyway, sir, I've answered the own question. Do you want to schedule a consultation for the rest? Because I need to get to these other people as well.
Okay. Okay, for sure.
Thank you.
So, okay, the last bit is, I just would like to know when I'm going to get my work permit. Is I'm going to get it or no?
Yeah, if you filed for one, you will get.
Approve.
If you filed the I-765, sir, you will get one. But you can't file. Okay. You can't get a work permit without filing that.
I already did it. I already filed I-76 and I-131 and I-130. Sorry, 360, and I filed 485 too.
Okay, so just wait. You'll get it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next to questions. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. How can I help, madam?
Hello.
Yes, madam. Okay, let me check out. I see a written question here that I want to answer. Someone says, if you're a domestic violence victim, can you be eligible for VAWA? Yes, that's what violence is for. That's what VAWA is for. Sorry. It's for people who are experiencing some sort of domestic violence from their spouse, whether physical, whether emotional, whether psychological, whether sexual. The abuse that you experience really doesn't matter. What matters is that you're able to prove it, really. But yes, that's absolute. Yes, absolutely. If you're a domestic violence victim, yes, VAWA was made for you. Absolutely. If one had filed and realized it's not properly filed, what can you do to change the document with a valid one? You can always contact. I think they're talking about the situation of Nigerians. So if you're Nigerian and you realize, oh wow, this document wasn't valid, you can always hire a lawyer in Nigeria to see if something can be done. Sometimes maybe the actual divorce document was valid, but maybe it just wasn't registered properly, right? So maybe it was just a clerk issue or typing issue. Maybe they just didn't register the number on the divorce properly. They didn't e-register it properly, right? They didn't register it online properly. It could be something like that. So there may be a way out. In other words, maybe the divorce certificate was actually valid, but it just wasn't registered properly. So if you listen to me and you have this issue and you're Nigerian, just definitely contact a good lawyer in Nigeria. We have one. If you call us and schedule a consultation, we'll let you know. We have one that we send to. It's not that we know him. But yeah, and sometimes he'll tell us, okay, this one can be fixed. This is an issue that can be fixed. And sometimes he'll tell us nothing can be done. Or sometimes he'll tell us, okay, nothing can be done. This person just has to do a fresh new divorce, either here in Nigeria or in America. Okay. And sometimes he'll tell us, okay, this is something that can be fixed. Okay. Somebody says, if I've been divorced for 5 years and haven't remarried yet, can I still file VAWA? No. With VAWA, the only thing is you definitely need to file that divorce within 2 years. You need to have filed the VAWA, within 2 years. So if you've been divorced for 5 years, it's too late for you. VAWA no longer applies to you. Your best bet is going to be either filing for asylum or marriage or some other way, because VAWA no longer applies to you once you've been divorced for more than 2 years. Yesterday, if you came yesterday live, I told you guys that, if you've now divorced, you had issues with your U.S. citizen spouse and you're divorced, I told you that you're eligible to apply for VAWA, but as long as you file it within the 2 years of divorce. And I also told you yesterday that if you do remarry, though, we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem if you remarry. So if you remarry, and then now you want to file for VAWA, you no longer have a VAWA case, because, in other words, immigration is thinking, well, you've already moved on. So you can't claim VAWA, to file a VAWA based on an abusive relationship that you've already moved on from, that you've already remarried from. So that's the only thing. Those are the limitations of VAWA. So if you remarried, you can no longer file for VAWA. And then also, if you've been divorced more than 2 years. So if by the time we consult with you, it's 2 years and 1 day, it's too late for you to file a VAWA application. You're either going to have to start fresh in a new marriage altogether, file for asylum or find some other way. All right, let me take some other questions now. Let's take these three.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you? Good day.
Good, and you?
Not too bad.
How can I help?
I want to ask you a question. I've been my I-130 have been approved since July.
Okay.
July.
Okay.
And my 765 application been submitted from March, right?
Okay.
It's going 8 months now.
Okay.
And I checked online about the processing center in National Benefit Center.
Right.
It's up to 8 months now. So I did put in a expedite, right? They reach out.
Okay.
They reach out to me for proof, send the proof. How long would it take for them to reach back?
I don't know, honestly. If you put in an expedite, sometimes they'll respond within 30 days, sometimes longer. It's really whenever they get to it, to be honest.
Okay,
Yeah.
because the thing is, I'm just wondering because my wife is really I forgot what they call it again.
She really wants you to start working.
She's not working.
Yeah. So honestly, I wish I had a better answer for you than that, but I don't. It's up to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So sorry. Hello, my.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. No problem.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good.
How can I help?
Yeah, I have a question. I and my husband went for our second interview, and everything was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And after the second interview, we waited for like 6 months, no reply. So I and my husband had a little issue, so I had to move out and come to my sister's place at New York.
Okay.
So I was there that was the last 2 weeks. I was there and I had a call from somebody telling me my husband has withdrawn his I-130.
Okay.
So due to that, my I-485 is denied.
Correct.
And I was like, who is this? And the person says he's calling from a USCIS office in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, please, can I know your name? And he said, his name is Abraham. I said, oh, okay. And the guy started asking me a lot of questions, like, why are you in New York? Why are you in this? She started asking me a lot of questions. I was like,
okay, madam, can you cut to the question? Because I've got 8 people.
Oh, okay.
Cut to the question.
So I reached out to my husband, and he said he don't want to tell me anything about what he told the officers. He don't want to tell me anything about it.
Okay.
So, and I told him then I need a divorce because they sent me the letter that my husband withdrew the I-130, so my I-485 is denied. So I'm calling to find out if I qualify for VAWA.
Okay, so it's like I always say, ma'am, we need to discuss and find out what kind of issues you had and what kind of led to this place. So him withdrawing an application doesn't necessarily mean you qualify for VAWA. We always got to have more than that because that's his right. He has a right to file for you. He has a right not to file for you. So in other words, so that in itself is not a problem. What would be a problem is like, was the relationship abusive? Was he intentionally trying to keep you down? I need some other facts. So schedule a consultation and I'll go through it and we'll see if you qualify.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Bye-bye. Okay. But definitely there is hope, so don't feel too bad.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All righty. So let me take this is gonna be the last 3 people, guys. And like don't do me how you did me yesterday. If you want to ask a question, now's the time. Last 3.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I wanted to ask What does a prima facie document? What does that imply? What's the?
Okay, so it's just a first review. They've just done like a first review of your case, and they've determined that so far so good. So far you have all the documents required. That's all they're saying. So it's almost like a pre-approval.
Because I was confused when I received it. I tried to Google it, but it didn't make any sense.
So it's a good sign, but it's not their actual approval yet.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for keep doing the good work. I appreciate all you do.
No problem. Okay. All right. All righty. We're coming up to the end, guys. Take my last 2 or 3. Okay. Some people, I am trying to bring you in. It's not letting me. Hello.
Hi.
Good.
Sorry, straight to the point. So I wanted to ask, like, I'm a PhD student.
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently in my 2nd year. And then there's somebody I'm seeing. She's 13 years older than me. And we're planning to get married next year.
Okay.
Yeah, she wants to file for me. So I just want to know, like, what are my chances of me getting my green card?
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 27.
Okay. I don't think that's bad. I think it's not like she's 40 and you're like 18 or 19. It's possible.
Okay, and I wanted to ask her, she's not currently working, but she has like her own real estate where she gets money and things like that. Like, what can she use as affidavit of support?
So only answer that one question. So everything else you got to schedule a consultation.
I'm
going to start being strict with you guys. But all right, so guys, I want to quickly address something, question the guy was asking. I don't know if you got it. So, I mean, it's a well-known fact that if there's a big age difference between you and your spouse, it could be like a red flag. Like if it's like a 20-year age gap, I mean, and if it's such a, in other words, if the gap kind of looks like you may be marrying the person just for papers, of course, that's a red flag. I mean, but there's different exceptions. There's different situations. And it's kind of judged on a case-by-case basis. And also it's going to be judged on, like, like especially if there's a big age difference. So how long did you guys date? These are the questions you want to keep in mind. How did you guys meet? These are the kind of things they want to know. How did you guys meet? How long did you guys date? So if there's a 20-year age gap, I mean, where exactly did y'all meet? Where, because usually if there's that much of a gap, chances are you may not be in the same circle. So exactly how did you meet this person who was 20 or 30 years older? How did you guys exactly meet? How long were you guys dating? What made you want to marry this person? These are questions they would have in their minds. So when you're filing and you have this big age gap, you definitely want to fill in these answers for USCIS. You want to have affidavits, love stories, emails, text messages that will kind of address or highlight how did y'all meet? How long did you guys date? Why did you even decide to marry this person in the first place? Etc. 13 years is a age difference, but it's not necessarily like so huge, especially like maybe if you're in your 20s and the person's in their 30s or just early 40s. It's a big age difference, but not entirely impossible to see, so it's not an impossibility. So just want to really buttress and answer that question properly, because it may apply to somebody else listening as well. Okay. All right. Last question.
Hi, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Please, I want to ask a question.
Uh-huh.
I've filed for VAWA almost going to 3 years now.
Uh-huh.
I didn't hear anything from the immigration. Whenever I called Anthony, she would tell me to stay for 3 years.
Okay.
The only thing they received the application. Since then, I don't know.
Okay. So your question is kind of like what's going on? What's wrong?
I didn't receive the prima facie.
Okay.
Nothing.
But you got like a work permit and everything? You have a work permit and everything?
Hello?
Let me check out some people.
Hello.
Let me check out some people so I can hear this lady. Ma'am, what'd you say? Did I take off the wrong person? Shoot.
Hello.
Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. Let me try to get that lady.
I have one quick question.
Okay.
For someone that has
Ma'am, let me come back to you. Let me get back to that lady. Let me answer a question. Ma'am, let me get back to you. I'll come back.
Okay.
I think hers is the one that was making me echo in the first place. Okay. Ooh. All right. Let me try to get back to that lady. I don't even know where she went. The lady that I took you off, you want to come back? So I can't find your name now on the request. Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Good, and you?
I'm good. Questions. So once you filed everything via the VAWA case and stuff, how long does it take for them to respond?
Oh, do you mean usually receipt notices take a few weeks to a few months? At least 6 weeks, yeah.
Because I'm actually your current client.
Okay. And you haven't received receipt notices?
No, actually, I was having some issues with the documents required. I just sent them today.
Okay.
It might get there by Friday. So
okay.
Just wondering.
Yeah, usually a few weeks.
Few weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye. Hello.
Oh, hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I just have a question. So I do have an advance parole from VAWA, and I also have a second extended prima facie as well.
Okay.
Is it safe to travel with the advance parole and the extended prima facie?
Is it travel to travel with advance parole? Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as, in other words, travel. Yeah, absolutely. As long as you there's nothing on your record that is an issue. Like you don't have any criminal issues. You've never been arrested or detained here in the U.S. You don't have anything big. Yeah. Then you should be able to travel. Not a problem. As long as you're not in deportation proceedings. Yeah.
No, nothing on that.
Yeah, you can go, no problem. Just don't stay too long, like longer than 3 months or something, to where they'll start asking you questions when you come back in.
Okay, that was just my fear of traveling and having a prima facie in hand as well.
Well, yeah, you can use it. I always say that's what a travel permit is for, is to be used. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, and I appreciate the work you do. You're awesome. I think I referred two of my friends to you, and you actually taking care of their case really good.
Oh,
but I won't call names. I'm sorry.
No, please, definitely not.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye for now.
All righty. There's a lady also take a question, and I don't know where she went to. Let me do this last person. It's the last question of the day. Did you go through? Last questions of the day. Hello.
Yeah, hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, ma'am. So I was about to ask the question that for somebody that has put in application for green card by marriage but later denied, so can such person now file for VAWA?
Yeah. I always say this all the time. You can file for VAWA at any time as long as you qualify. You could file it even when you're in deportation proceedings and they're about to deport you. You can file it.
Okay.
What matters is you qualify. So you definitely.
Because it has been denied before due to by once, so the probability of being qualified for VAWA, that's what I'm not sure about.
Well, I've just answered that question, ma'am. But definitely, you want to have a conversation with somebody just to make sure we run through all the reasons why you were denied the first time on your prior adjustment of status to marriage application. And before you file, that's what I'd say.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Okay, guys, it's 6 o'clock. I'm having a good time, but not that much of a good time. I had to let you go. So, guys, if this has been helpful to you or someone you know, you definitely want to share. If you or someone you know had these questions, especially the questions that I answered, the frequently asked questions that I dealt with early in this live, you definitely must absolutely share this video, because I answered and handled so many frequently asked questions lists, like what's my chances of winning a VAWA case? Is VAWA easier a case, or adjustment of status to marriage easier? Is it easier to get a green card through VAWA or easier to get a green card through my spouse? Do I need a police report? These are all the questions that I answered, believe it or not, in one live. What can I do if my prior divorce certificate was invalid in Nigeria? You know, what are some reasons why my VAWA application could be denied? So many answers, so many questions on this live. You would be selfish to keep this live to yourself. Definitely share it, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye. And if you need my help, you know what to do. Give me a call, schedule a consultation, especially if you want a consultation this year. Don't drag your feet. Don't be one of those people that calls me on December 25th. I need a consultation. I won't be available on December 25th or December 24th. Now is the time to call me if you need me, okay? Schedule a consultation now. Bye, guys. Bye.